All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Shadow Darkness podcast. This is episode 70. We're back with Rocky Romano, one of my favorite people. Before we do that, I want to hop into some quick housekeeping. We are shooting this in the dungeon of Shack Mocktail Bar, 120th East, 4th Street in Downtown Loveland. There's games. There's a lot of cool stuff for all ages. They have poetry night. I think they have comedians here. They have live music. If they don't have comedians, they should. I don't know. They do.
Comedy
Okay.
show at least once a month.
Yeah. Okay. Comedy show once a month. This is where they host our Beyond the Buzz sober networking event. If you're looking for a sober as a business owner, it's not always easy to get in a room full of people that you're just rubbing shoulders to exchange business cards, and that it feels a little empty. The Beyond the Buzz, you get to meet people who are professionals, from their 9 to 5, but they're also willing to open up and share what's going on in their life. And for me, that's always helpful. I've gotten business out of it. I know that guys on my team, I've given my business through it. It's a great place. So that's every other Friday from 9:30 to 11. Is that this Friday? Well, by this time it won't be. So we're going to hop back in episode 70. Before we do, please like and subscribe. And I'm going to read you the intro to this book, because the heart of the intro to this book is what I want to share. This is Rocky Romano's book, Rock Bottom, by Rocky, the heroin addict next door. We've gone through the first half, and we're kind of at the fulcrum of the story. But my heart in doing this is directly mirrored in what you say here. So it says, this book is dedicated to my lovely wife, Tamara. She knows the bondage and suffering of addiction as well as the beauty of sobriety. She inspires all who know her, and her smile is like a lighthouse to my soul. This is also for those struggling with addiction and their family members. In a very real way, for everyone involved, it is the fight of their life. And here's what I want to get to. If this book saves one life, it has achieved its purpose. It has achieved its intended purpose. With love, Rocky Romano. Same thing goes with the story. Please share this. Please like it. It's, everybody in this room in 100 years will be dead and gone, and no one will know who we are. But if one person hears his story and is changed, or reads this book and is changed, then our purpose is served. Our intended purpose is served. So it's just not for us to. We're not trying to make an extra couple bucks on the side. We're trying to get the message that there is hope. You don't have to live that way. There is an absolutely amazing reality outside of addiction. And we were right before the camera got rolling. Us addicts and alcoholics, oftentimes we're looked at as just the black sheep or the untouchable. People don't know what to do with us. But you get a couple of us together in a room, and we start finding our intended purpose, what we're created to do, who we're created to be. We're powerhouses. We're killers. We do amazing things. They're some of the most powerful people you've ever met. So please, help us unlock that in another person by just sharing this. So we left off. Rocky, welcome back, brother.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been fun.
It is a lot of fun. So we left off. You had 3 DUIs. Fighting in parking lots, going to jail. You would come to your studio apartment, hit your knees, and you said, God, if you're there, whoever you are, wherever you are, please help, which I think is the most powerful prayer. You got up from there, and where did you go from there?
At that point, I think all of the, I was in a place where all of the self-sabotage, all of the abandonment, everything that I was storing up had taken root, and it was so overwhelming. It came to a crescendo. And I was in a predicament, and now I've got some issues. So I got on the phone, and I knew I needed to get an attorney. I was in a bad way. So the first guy I called up, these are all Monterey attorneys. I called him up, and I said, here's my situation. And he said, well, that'd be $33,000.
This is before your AA meeting that you met that lady?
It was after the AA meeting.
Got it. So you're on your journey in the right direction.
So when I said that prayer, I went to the AA meeting, and Suzette Washington was a gal that I met who was connected to recovery, connected to law firms, connected to everything. And she said to me after the AA meeting, she said, here's my card. if you're serious about recovery, give me a call. I normally don't do this, but I heard, and I shared a little bit of my story and where I was. She said, call me. As soon as I got home, I called her. She started the ball rolling on looking for recovery places to go.
How heavy was that phone when you picked it up?
Oh, it's, what are they, 3,000 pounds? Yeah, it was a little flip phone. And
But they say that, you know, it's so hard to pick up that phone, but that's it. Like, that's the play. You did it.
And I was feeling conviction. And when I hit my knees, you know, as I look back on it, and I know in that moment when I surrendered, and I said, God, if you are, and I meant it. So it says, you know, a broken and contrite heart, God cannot refuse.
Right.
And I felt something shift. I didn't know what it was. I had no idea, but I knew something in my life. I could feel the trajectory of my life change in some small way. Met Suzette, that was all happening. Next thing on the docket was to call some attorneys. So I called the first guy, he said 33,000, and called the second attorney. And it was in the same ballpark. Don't remember the number. Called the third guy. His name was Sean Mills, attorney at law, Monterey. And call him up, and Sean Mills answers. He goes, who's this? So I explained my situation. I said, it's Rocky Romano. He said, can you come in today? I said, yeah. He said, come on in. So I go over to his office, and this guy's a Christian guy, unbeknownst to me. I walk into his office, and he starts talking to me. And he's got this big redwood desk with a piece of glass on it. And we're kind of doing the formals.
Sure.
And as we're talking, he points down on his desk and he said, see this letter? There was a letter under the glass. And it was a letter from a lady friend of his to him. And she was an alcoholic. And I read the letter. And she died. And he kept that under that glass to remind him of what was going to kill him. And so as the conversation went on, he reached down under his desk and he pulled a 175 of vodka out under his desk and he set it on the desk. He goes, you know why I keep this here? I was like, I have no idea. He said, to remind me what was going to kill me. Puts it back under his desk and he says, sit down. He said, you know what? You're going to make it. And I said, what? He goes, you're going to make it. He says, he leans into me and he says, so what do you have? I said, what do you mean? What do I have? He says, what do you have? I said, well, I got a Lexus ES300 with about, 350,000 miles on it. And he says, I'll take it. I was like, okay. He says, what else you got? He said, I got about 500 in cash. And he looks at me and says, I'll take it. I'm like, okay. So tell me, what else do you have, Clifton's? I said, a bicycle. He goes, you can keep that. I was like, oh, great. So I was like talking to Jesus, right? He said, give it all to me and watch me work. Well, I end up concluding that meeting. I end up a week later jumping in a car with my sister-in-law, and we go to San Francisco. We're on the way. I feel like doors are opening, and something's changed. I have this attorney out of nowhere, this lady with the shopping cart. All these breadcrumbs are getting laid out, and it's all kind of making sense in a way, in an odd way, as I look back. I'm driving down the highway. My sister-in-law apprehensively is, it's like, okay, my brother said, I'm going to put all your stuff in storage. When you get out, it'll be ready for you. Good to go. So we get off of the highway and we pull into the Tenderloin district of San Francisco. She makes a U-turn right in front of 164 6th Street. Big metal gate, and all I see around me, hookers, pimps, drug dealers, alcoholics. I mean, this place is insane. And I remember coming off the highway and I'm looking around and she's getting ready to make a U-turn and I'm thinking,
Are you sure?
I'm like, God, I didn't ask you to send me to hell.
Yeah.
And this place was hell on earth.
Yeah.
Pulled out in front, hit the buzzer on the gate, went in, checked in, and walked out to the car, got my bag out of the trunk. My sister-in-law gave me a hug, and she drove away. Later on, she said, when I was looking in the rearview mirror, I saw you standing there, and then I saw the background of what was behind you. And she said, I felt like I threw a big piece of meat in a shark tank. It was insane.
Oh my gosh, dude.
And so what seemed to be the worst thing that could ever happen to me in my life ended up being the best thing. And so I checked into City Team Ministries and started the journey. And it was crazy.
What's the day-to-day like? Right from the rip, the process, how long you were there, like, give us, what is that? I mean, the sober living for you, what was that like? I did it. You did it. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you've done it. So let's talk about it, dude.
Yeah, this program was interesting because it was tailor-made for me in the sense that I was a selfish, self-centered, insecure egomaniac. So you put that all together, and so what do you got? The unholy trinity, me, myself, and I. And that's kind of that's who I followed. So as soon as I checked in, the first thing they had me doing was washing dishes. So it was a 3-pillar system. It was AA, it was the big book, AA, and the Bible. And then we had 2 accountability partners.
Okay.
So that was the day-to-day was 8 a.m. We eat at 7, Bible study at 8. We do 3 AA meetings a week. And then at 6 in the evening, we would serve the homeless. So we'd eat at 5, serve the homeless at 6 to
Every
7
day.
every single day, Monday through Saturday. We had Sunday off, and we go to church on Sunday.
Were there work, like, were you working? You obviously didn't have a cell phone. Well, cell phones came out in like 08, but like
Yeah, no, they took
No cell
your credit card, they took your phone, they took everything.
nicotine? Was nicotine allowed?
You could do nicotine. I was chewing Copenhagen at the time, so I still was chewing.
Could you have prescriptions, your own, like from a doctor?
On a limited basis,
Gotcha.
depending if you were sick and if you were sick, but as far as any Suboxone or anything like
Yeah.
that, no, they wouldn't allow.
And there's a reason I'm asking, and we're going to circle back. But so,
Yeah, none of that.
Okay. So you're in how long is this program, you said?
1 year.
1 year. Did you, when you walked in, man, like, did you have a resolve? I mean, you talked about your parents. Your mom was in a concentration camp in Shanghai, China.
Yeah.
Your dad was a boxer.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of resolve in a guy like you, raised by parents like that. In that moment when you walked through those doors, did you have that thinking, I'm going to do this? Did you have that? Do you remember that?
No, I think everything came crashing down on me the moment I walked in that gate. And as soon as I checked in, I looked around the area and I saw where I was, and I was like, so this is what it's come to.
Yeah.
And so it took me a little while, a couple weeks, to completely surrender.
Let the dust kind of settle.
So this is where I'm at, and I'm going to serve. But the one thing it did teach me right away was the homeless. As I was in my pity party that I just mentioned to you, there was a pity party going on.
Sure.
Look what I had, look where I'm at now, my rock bottom experience. But the one thing I found out very quickly as the homeless people were walking in is that I could serve somebody less fortunate than myself. For the first time in my life, I could serve somebody else, whether it was washing dishes, working the food line, or doing whatever it was, helping them downstairs in the clothing room. We'd give out clothing once a week to the homeless, and we had doctors come in on Saturdays. So we ministered to them pretty much 5-6 days a week. And so I learned to serve those less fortunate, and that was a key component of my recovery. And then finally realizing why I was doing the things I was doing. And so at some point, I started to move up through the ministry as you go through modules, and I became the hospitality manager. and moved along, became the house manager, and then became eventually a staff member, and I was an intern. So I thought I was going to be in there 6 months. My plan was 6 months and I'm out of here.
Sure.
Right? We always have a plan.
Right.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Hey there, if you're anything like me, networking for your business, small or large, it's not fun. It's probably the least exciting thing that we do. You're rubbing shoulders with people that feel inauthentic, and honestly, you don't know if you want to see these people after 5 o'clock every day. So we have a solution for that. Mitch, what's the solution for that?
The solution that we have come up with is Beyond the Buzz. Beyond the Buzz is a networking group that focuses on supporting each other in the things that we feel like matter in our life, in our sobriety, and in our businesses. So we're trying to bring in small business owners from the community that have chosen to live the sober path or are sober curious, just curious about what's going on down here at the Love Shack. We are just trying to create an authentic space where people can share real issues that they have going on in their life and find no judgment, find real help and support. I can personally tell you through the months that we've had this going, I've made some amazing connections with some incredible people that have poured actual resources into my life.
And it doesn't matter what kind of business you're in. You can be in, you can be a car detailer, you can be commercial real estate, you can be in construction. I know that as a roofer, I've gotten jobs out of it. As a real estate agent, you've gotten work out of it. Absolutely. I know that I've given people work from it. It's been a really amazing way to connect. So I don't care what walk of life you're walking, come check us out.
We want to meet you.
Where are we at?
So we meet at the Love Shack Mocktail Bar every other Friday from 9:30 to 11. It's kind of all just right here at the Love Shack Mocktail Bar, 120 East 4th Street, every other Friday. So we hope to see you guys here. Come make some real, truthful, authentic relationships.
I think I remember vaguely in the story, the transition from a resident to employee. What was that like for you there?
Well, the crazy part of it is that we were having a house meeting, and our house manager was leaving, and Jonathan Zenkai, who's just a sweetheart of a guy, he's discipled so many men, he just randomly, I think it was a Holy Spirit thing, and he just said, well, how about Rocky as our house manager? And the whole place said, yes.
Were you expecting that?
No.
Yeah, right.
No, and it was just, don't want to do that.
Right. Oh, so you didn't, you were...
I did not want to do that, and so...
That's so interesting, because in all of the sober houses I've been in, the guy wants the keys, man. As soon as the guy gets the keys, it's like, the world's changed, and now everyone's always wanting the keys to the closet or whatever, the keys to the car. And you didn't want that, right?
Did not, and that led to going down to San Jose and interviewing in front of 20 staff members. Our corporate office was in San Jose.
For the same outfit.
Yeah. So we had a branch in Oakland. We had a mission in Oakland, a mission in San Francisco, Tenderloin, missions in Seattle, mission in Oregon, and so City Team Ministries has been around for 65 years.
It's still active today.
Yeah, still going.
Nice.
And they've done a really nice job. But it's those principles and surrendering to the process. So at some point, what I say, you know what? Since I'm here, I'm going to do this.
Right. Yeah.
And so people are lined up outside at 5:30 waiting to get in to eat, and I'd walk out, and the homeless people were standing there, and it's like, hey, Pastor Rock, what are we having tonight? And I'd be each guy, well, we're having a little steak tartare and some creme brulee and,
right.
and some cappuccino, and they'd start laughing.
Sure.
And they knew we were having some carbohydrates lost or whatever.
Yeah, dude.
And so it was that surrendering to the process of, just here's where I'm at, surrender. Yeah. Just give it up and let me work in your life. And I could feel things changing in my life.
Yeah, man, I want to go back to that because I love, you quoted that scripture, I don't know, I think it's Isaiah or something, but a broken and contrite heart, God cannot refuse, mm-hmm. right? You get to that place where there's a brokenness and a contrite heart, and you go to your Creator, your higher power, mm-hmm. and then you see the shift, and you said breadcrumbs, and that's no better term for that, because it is a breadcrumb trail where it's like, it's like the breadcrumb is like, the next one isn't like the meal. There's not a buffet table of open doors. It's like, okay, there's a crack in this door. There's a small invitation here. There's a small, and the viewer, if you are inactive, well, even if you're in recovery or in active addiction, listen for those breadcrumb moments. Look for them, pay attention, because they don't go away. Like, we start to live our life by the breadcrumb, because we don't get to know. I got plans for tomorrow. It says, man makes his plans, but the Lord directs his steps, right?
Absolutely.
Like, those breadcrumbs was little, and just look for the little, signs and wonders, whatever you want to call it, the crack in the window, the crack in the door that says, hey, maybe this. And oftentimes the breadcrumb will look like it's something, and you'll be all excited about what that is, but what that was supposed to do was to maneuver you to get where you're over here. And it's like, okay, I thought I was going this direction. Like, yeah, but this breadcrumb can leave you here. Just trust that process. And you're starting to see these breadcrumbs turn into something better than what was, essentially.
Yeah, and that's the way you described it is perfect. And in that surrender, I remember about 3 months into the program, it was just like any other afternoon. The door was open. I was looking through the screen gate. There was nobody on the main floor. There was no noise there. And I'm sitting at the table. We had several tables on the main floor and then the food line. And I'm sitting there. And this was the moment when it all happened. I was sitting there, and I remember all of a sudden this presence. I think Bill Wilson describes, or Dr. Bob.
Yeah.
I think it was Dr. Bob had a similar experience, but I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden this presence came over me. And I can't really tell you how long it lasted, but it came over me, and it was like a warm blanket of just absolute peace and love. And it was like amazing. And I sat there, and I was just basking in it. And then all of a sudden I felt it lift off and leave. But the crazy part is the peace remained. And as it was leaving, I looked up and I knew, and I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because it was the one thing I was looking for my whole life. Peace. Yeah. Peace I give to you, not as the world gives. And so that was a pivot moment. That was the time I knew that I knew. I knew. I was like, thank you. And to this day, 17 years later, I still have that peace that I was chasing for all those years. That doesn't go away despite your external circumstances. As chaotic as we're in the same industry, so as chaotic as our world gets around us, I still have peace. And that's what I share with the men in our recovery program, that once you meet the Prince of Peace, you know it.
And you're not. I'm a little biased. I think you're a pretty special dude.
Thanks.
But in the sense of the term, you're not special.
No.
That peace is available to who?
Everybody.
Like,
whosoever will.
You can have it.
Yeah.
It's available, right? It takes surrender and saying yes to things you probably weren't expecting. But looking back, it's the most rewarding and beneficial breadcrumb trail to follow. And what I had a hard time with, and you can tell me if you agree with this, I had such a hard time with the idea that saying yes to this creator, this higher power, this Prince of Peace, saying yes to this meant the most boring, pleated khaki, loafer-wearing life that I thought, I'm out. I mean, I don't want I'm not in for the potluck. You know what I mean?
I do.
But it's none of that. It's an adventurous roller coaster of a life that it's like your hair blows back and you're thinking, what do we do in the day? And it gets, we're doing things like this.
Dude, that's what you just said right there. There's the why. And what I will say is that since 2009, August 13 of 09 is when I walked into City Team. From that point to now, God has done so much in my life, way more, above and beyond what I can ask and imagine. Way more than what I could generate on my own propulsion in the first 40 years.
Right.
Right? So this was self-propulsion, doing it my way.
Right.
Trying to self-direct all of it. And the last 15, 17 years, God has done, big, mind-blowing. In other words, if you'd have shown me a panorama of when I got to City Team, and here's a panorama, Cash, you're going, okay, Rock, here is your life. Here's who you're going to be married to. Here's the business you're going to be in. Here's the ministry you're going to have. Here's the amount of people that God is going to use you to impact all over the nation. What do you think of that?
You got the wrong guy.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, dude.
I would have said you're high.
Yeah.
We need to do a drug test because
Right.
you were absolutely high. You don't know what you're talking about, and that's what you're talking about, right? Because it's boring. It's just unfamiliar.
Right. Yeah. That's a good way to put it, man. But that's a good thing to me. Sorry. It's exciting. It's so exciting meeting guys like Mitch and Elliot and Mitch and guys like yourself. It's a blast, dude. And the guys that you meet, the people that you're around, you're like, man, I get to be around some of the coolest people, and not one of them are lame duck. You know what I mean? I get to be. It's just a lot of fun. The boring is the opposite of what we choose when we say yes to our higher power. I believe. Keep going, man. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hijack you there.
No, in this journey, it just continued, and I ended up, my 6-month plan ended up being there a year. I had to go. So going back to the story with Sean Mills, the attorney, I was looking at some serious jail time. I was looking at all kinds of crazy stuff. So what happened was he got me 4 months. I was looking at a year in county or 4 months. He got me 4 months home confinement. I didn't have to pay for I didn't have to show up for court, didn't have to do anything.
What a saying.
He got me through all of that. And I had to do home confinement, so I moved back to my brother's house. And now at this point, I got a job at Target, and I was stocking shelves in the morning, got me out of the house. I was making $8.85 an hour, and I had a camera. I had a blower. They'd call 3 times a day. I'd have to turn on the camera and have to blow. And
to get your car going, or just in general?
I didn't have a car, right? So I'd ride my bicycle to Target and did all that.
But you're happy.
I'm happy. And so I'm graduating the program. And so I walk up to my brother and I said, man, he said, you can live here. We like what you're doing. You've got sober time. There's nothing. We have no reason to. You're going to Bible studies. You're going to AA meetings. You're doing all the right things. So you're more than welcome to stay here. We love you. I said, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. And he said, well, I'll tell you what. Here's a novel idea. Why don't you pray about it? I said, okay.
Yeah.
So I did. And I'm telling you, if it wasn't inside of a week, he said, I walked up to him. I said, dang. He said, what's up? And I said, I'm being called to go back to City Team and become a staff member to do the final interview and to do all that.
Like literally.
Yeah, so I called up City Team. I go, okay. I didn't want to go back to the Tenderloin. I was a block from the beach, right? Yeah. And Monterey. I mean, and so, but these are the things that happen in your life when you're being called to. So anyway, surrendered to that process, made the call. 3 days later, I'm going back to City Team, and then went through the interview process, got hired, became an intern. Ended up staying another 1.5 years.
So 2.5 years total.
Yeah.
And the Tenderloin District. In
the Tenderloin. And I had pastors running out of that place, man. I'm telling you, this place is crazy. If you ever, to your audience, if you wonder, and I'm telling this story, just go on to any social media, go to YouTube or whatever, and type in Life in the Tenderloin. And you'll get a 4-minute video, a 10-minute video, and that's kind of what I lived in for almost 3 years. And that's where the good part is, where I met my wife.
That's what you're uniquely qualified for that. That's what's nuts. Because you go through it and you're like, this for no reason that this chaos is ensued in every area of my life. And then you get called back to wherever, and we're called from something. Mitch always loves to say, he's quoting somebody else, but we're called from something to someone. Right, to something. And, pastors, they can't take the heat, bro. You know what I mean? They can't. You get in a place like that, and you come in with your pleated khakis. God bless you, pastors, for your flock and all that. But you're uniquely qualified to get back in there and tell these dudes, hey, it can be done. And this is a real thing. Sorry to steal that. You meet your wife.
So to kind of wrap the story up and how God's divine hand worked in all of this. Upon making the decision to go back and to submit to the Spirit, just say, okay, I'm going. I'm going to do this. My brother's like, great. It's like, not so great. The beach is right there. I go back to city team. And when I first got there, we went on a trip to, I was up in Santa Cruz Mountains, Mount Hermon.
With the city team people.
Yeah, the first time I got there. So I was there a couple months, went up to Mount Hermon.
Okay.
And here's the craziest story ever. So I get up to Mount Hermon, I'm with a group of guys, we go up in the van, and unbeknownst to me, they never have all women or men at this conference. You got 300 women there, 300 men there.
Yeah.
So we're wrapping up lunch, and I'm walking to the back to the dessert table, ask the guys, you want brownies or cheesecake? And they're, all right, grab me some of this. And I walk by this table, and all of a sudden, I just get prompted to stop. I stop at this table. I go, ladies, what can I get you? Brownies or cheesecake? I don't see my future wife. I do not see her. I see everybody else. And they put in their order. I go back a couple times. I serve them. My wife is looking at me. She's looking at her mom. She's there to give her testimony, and she's got a different conference. She looks at her mom and goes, see that guy? I want to marry that guy.
What a stud, dude. That's great.
I know. Trust me, I'm not that charming. But this is unbelievable. And so she sees me. I don't see her. The conference breaks up. We go back. And then going back to the story, about a year has gone by. I have left, gone through home confinement, go back. I become a staff member. The first day I get there, Jonathan says, welcome to City Team. We're so glad you're back. Hey, by the way, we're going to Mount Hermon. And the entire time, Tamara's like, I wonder what that Rocky guy, I wonder if I'll ever see that Rocky guy again.
This is a year and a half later?
Yeah, this is a year later to this day.
So you don't even know she's existing.
I have no idea.
She hasn't left.
Yeah, and her mom's constantly saying to her, like, if God wants to put him in your life, you'll cross paths.
Yeah, no question.
If God wants to put him in your life, you will cross paths.
That's a saint, dude. She's seen it.
Yes, she's seen it. She goes, I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen. Well, the second day I'm there, we load the van up. I'm driving up to City Team. The second year in a row, they got men and women. They never do that. Unbeknownst to me, my future wife and her mom are driving up the hill at the same time. We're going up there. They park right in front of the reservation desk. Down the way, I just got out of the car.
Yeah.
They look up, and guess who goes walking right by the front of the car? Me. Tamara looks up, and her mom's like, holy shit.
Yeah, dude.
And she's a biblical counselor. You never hear this woman say a curse word, but she's like, and they're both just dumbfounded.
Yeah.
Well, later in the conference, we get a break, and all of a sudden I see these women. Like, hold on, Jonathan. I walk over to him and I said, hey, where do I know you guys from? You're the guy who served us the cheesecake. Yeah. Say, hey, how you doing? And we talk a little bit, and all of a sudden I look over. I'm like,
smoke show, dude.
Yeah, who's that? Who is that?
Yeah, man.
And so they go back to the conference. One gal stands back. Tamara leaves. This gal's all tatted up. She's got tats everywhere. Looks like a biker chick. And she goes, hey, you know that gal that was standing on your right? I said, yeah. She said, she's a really nice Christian gal. And boy, she's something. Oh, you ought to ask her out. I was like, you got her number?
Do you remember this lady, this tatted lady?
Yeah, I
I
know of her whereabouts now, but come to find out, she's doing some crazy stuff. But for that moment, in that space and time,
she was an instrument.
She was an instrument. And so she gave me her number. I texted Tamara. We end up going. She comes down to San Francisco from Concord. We go to church that night. We grab a little bite at a Mexican place. 1 year later after that, I proposed to her in front of that same church. We get married, and now we've been together 16 years.
Yeah.
What is the chances of two people a year later to the day with two conferences with men and women, they've never had that happen since, run into each other, cross paths like I don't know what the odds are. I'm not an odds maker, but it's got to be
Impossible.
yeah.
I want to camp there for a minute, man, because were you looking for a woman?
No.
Were you pretty surrendered on the idea that like a woman, that's not something you were chasing hardcore, right?
No.
But you knew you wanted it when you met her.
Oh yeah.
So
It was a yeah.
I just want to go there because I think that there's a.
It was the first woman I didn't pick.
There you go. Well, I think that you have desires that are. It says in quote scripture, Psalms 37, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and give you the desires of your heart. I'm a firm believer, and you don't have to be Christian to believe this. Your higher power, he's not the Santa Claus, right? He's the author of the desires that you are birthed with, right? And the odds of the greatest things that you want to experience, that more than you can ask, think, or imagine, they're impossible. In your own doing, you can't. You're not good enough. You're just not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not quick enough. You're just not that good of a schemer to create those outcomes. But with the heart laid down, you say it, and it stuck with me. When you give him your heart, he has your back. When you lay your life down for your higher power, he starts to identify in you that you didn't even know these desires existed, and the odds are not 1 in a million. It's a bazillion to 1 because he's lined it up. He's that good. It's that good. The odds are wickedly, wildly. I mean, I just started a roofing company, right? You're the head of all commercial sales for a massive roofing company.
Yeah, for sure.
I met you and I just thought, what are the odds that I get to meet a guy that if I need a hand, this is the guy? And that's just one of a bajillion. But that's who when we say like we're chasing it, and I hear you talking, I don't want to steal it, but I hear you talking about like, it's hard for a person who's in active addiction to hear like, I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm blowing in a blower. I've got to check in at 3 times a day. I'm driving a van. Like, you're thinking, well, screw that. It's like, no, you don't get it. You don't understand. I was the happiest I'd ever been. And in that birth, like this garden of, I was talking to a guy before I got here. I mean, I'm sorry to hijack it.
No, that's good, man.
One of the guys on our roofing team is going through steps right now. Amazing man, I love him. We were going over some life planning right before this, and just some dreaming, right? Putting it on paper. And I told him, I was like, we met 6 months ago. I said, write these things down that you want. And he wrote them down. Since then, he's gotten sober, started the steps. His life has drastically changed in the right direction. I said, think about just taking what you had. Think of it like an old garden. Your life was a messy garden where you were forced to weed around dead plants. It's not one worth tending. The life that you have now is insane, and it's blooming, and there's so many more seeds already planted. You only get one. You can't get some of this and some of that, and you do have to pull weeds here. But your creators has orchestrated this garden for you where you do weed. You do gotta in the beginning. You're blowing in to start your car. You're showing up at meetings. You're doing the things like, man, this doesn't sound like fun. But in the grand scheme, in doing the little faithful things, he orchestrated. I've met your wife. Your wife is gorgeous, and I have not met her very, very long. But more than that, it's obvious this woman is a spirit-led. I mean, she carries the glory of God.
Big time.
She does.
Yeah, it's obvious.
That's one of the desires he authored in you, then birthed out of you, in a bajillion to 1 chance you meet her on the top of a mountain, dude.
Very, very cool. I tell all the guys, to your point, all the guys at the Ark in our sober living home, I tell them all the time, like, God is no respecter of persons, right? He's not impressed with me. However, if you'll surrender if you'll surrender to his will for your life, he's got a better plan than you do for yours. I can guarantee. And he'll use every guy in the house. So we as addicts, alcoholics, we get so caught up in our emotions and how we feel and all, and so my mentor was a guy named Paul Chan, and his brother's Francis Chan. So he got assigned to me. He said, Brock, we're having coffee in San Francisco, and he said, listen, man, if you're going to let your feelings or your external circumstances dictate your happiness, you're in for one long ride.
Yeah.
He goes, very rarely does life line up and hang like a chain. Relationship, kids, finance, everything just lines up. So he goes, life doesn't work that way. It's messy.
Yeah.
Life can be difficult, but the surrender process, that was the hardest thing. Like your production manager had, what's that moment, right? So some guys being a boxer and growing up, you got to hit me a lot.
Yeah, dude. God. Yes, dude.
There had to be an easier way.
Sure, someone got one. I didn't.
But here's what's great. The good part about this is that when I went back to the Monterey group after being at City Team for about a year, I was visiting my brother, and I walked into the group, the recovery group in downtown Monterey, and I walked in a little bit late, sat in on the meeting, and a bunch of guys came up to me. 3 guys in particular said, dude, as soon as you walked in the door, and they said, I saw light coming out of you. We knew. You ever heard you get it when you get it?
Yeah.
And something changes in somebody when they get it and when they receive the gift. The countenance changes. There's light that's coming out of
You're
their
a
spirit.
magnet.
Yeah. And all of a sudden you shine bright. You see guys in meetings, recovery meetings, right, where they're first coming in, and then you see a guy when they get it.
Yeah.
And you look at the two, and there's such a sharp contrast in the two people. But that's all part of, as you know, that's all part of the surrender.
Yeah.
The surrender, getting that white flag up. I mean, I just couldn't get it up. And eventually I just had to be beat down into submission, to your point, and get to that point where I was like, okay, obviously I can't do this. Right.
Yeah.
So as we're having this conversation, that flyover, but the process took years and years and a lot of deep, dark valleys and a lot of anguish and despair and depression and everything that leads you to the point where you put a gun in your mouth. And when you go from helpless to hopeless, and then you see no way out, what does it say? God makes a way where there seems to be no way. But in my mind, there was no way out, and that was the answer to my problem. The pain was so bad, so severe, so piercing, and it was constant, and I couldn't. The noise in my head was so loud. The only way out was to do it, to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
You been there? Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's rough.
And so, man, I want to shift. It's hard to come off of the topic because I wish we could live with that topic, like from the hopeless to the hopeful. But I want to talk about, called from something to something. You had a dream with a couple other guys to create a place. I mean, not like City Ministries or what is it called? City
Team.
Team. But there was something in your heart that said, hey, I want to give away what I've been given, right? What birthed that? What caused that? Was that even something you were chasing? Tell us about it. It's where I eventually work. Where I not work. I met you at the Ark. But can we hear about that? Like what that process is, man?
Yeah, that was about 10 years ago. God put it on my heart. I was praying with a guy he's a senior pastor, Doug Care, Cornerstone, Johnstown. We've been praying for quite a few years for something to happen. And I had met with Carl Sutter, senior pastor at Foundations. And we presented a recovery center type concept, a business proposal. And at the time, what happened was that got put on the back burner because they opened the Windsor campus. So it got put on a back shelf, and I thought, okay. And I was talking to Doug, 5 years went by. I'm like, well, I don't, he's like, God's put it on my heart. He goes, I know this is going to happen. I said, I know it, but I said, it's no doors are opening. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I haven't given up on it, but I'm not getting anything. And I think about year 6, out of nowhere, I get a call from Carl Sutter. Carl, this Rodney Dangerfield. He's like, hey, Rock, man. Hey, what's up, Carl? What do I own? What do I do? What are we doing? He's like, you want to do that thing? I said, what thing? He goes, the recovery thing. Because I'm tired of putting people away. I'm tired of going to funerals. Let's do it. So he says, come on over to the church. So he invites this guy, Phil Hicks. He's a really brilliant mind, business strategist. And so 3 of us met, laid out a plan. And Phil just kind of laid out a basic plan of what we need to do. And after that moment, God started bringing guys like you in and other people. We put a board together. Before you know it, we bought a building. And the crazy part is as we had about $70,000 after we bought the building to put some lipstick on it and get it going. Well, come to find out, city ordinances and everything, we had a guy come in to do the suppression system. Hey, man, my brother died of opioid addiction. I got you. Flooring guy came in. Hey, dude, my sister just died last year. Heroin addiction. I got you. We'll do the floors. Windows, same thing. Had a roofing guy do the roof. And we ended up, I believe, somewhere around $550,000 worth of time and materials donated to the Ark. And I guess the lesson in this, if God puts something in your heart, don't give up.
God's will, God's bill, dude. That's it. I've always heard, if it's God's will, it's God's bill. You just be a part.
And it all came together. And so now we have merged, or in the process of merging, with another organization in Fort Collins called the Lighthouse. So we got 17 guys at our home. They've got 35. We just opened a woman's house. And on top of that, we have 5 grad homes. So when you leave the program and you want to roommate with 3 other guys, you share a house. And the only thing you got to do is come in once a week and just do a drug test, check in. And you're out working, becoming a productive member of society. And so this thing has grown way beyond me, way beyond you, and now it's just a big ministry, and it's mind-blowing. And I can give you so many examples of things like that in my life where God uses the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. Guys like us, right? Guys behind the camera that are doing what they're doing and making this all possible. So it's, anything's possible. And it's good stuff.
I want to go in. When I met the people, when I went to the Ark the first time, I was a little jealous because I asked you some questions earlier. I remember loading up, just a brief story, loading up. I was kind of at my rock bottom, I was done. I wanted to go to a sober living house. And I remember I had some pills. My little brother walked out. I think it was, I just remember him asking, like, hey, you going to take some pills? Do you want some pills to go in? You know what I mean? Like, do you want to? And I remember thinking, man, you said it earlier, if I want to do this, I'm going to do this thing for real. I was like, no, man, just put some dirty clothes in a black, black trash bag and a belt and a Bible that my mom had given me. And I go to the church. I was so hungry. The pastor was like, he's like, do you need anything or whatever? And actually, I don't know. No, he said, I'm at Schlotzky's. I'll be there in a minute. And it's a sandwich spot. And I was like, can you bring me a Schlotzky's? I was hungry. I didn't care. I was right. Bring me a sandwich. I was like, okay, dude. He brought me a sandwich. I get in there, meet him. Like, get in this old beat up church van. And there's a house manager, right? He's one of us. Keys. I get in, slide the door closed, and he said, don't get comfortable. I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, no one's ever finished the program. It's a year long. No one's ever finished it. And that was what I needed. I was so full of piss and vinegar. I was like, bet. You know what I mean? Like, watch me do it. I needed someone to doubt, right? But whatever. It's what it took. And then I get in, and no nicotine, zero pharmaceuticals. Like you weren't allowed to have anything but Advil and Tylenol. They say beans and rice and Jesus Christ, right? So we would mow lawns all day at a local Bible college and come home. Church on Wednesdays. There was no 12-step program attached to it, which I think was missing. I remember seeing a buddy of mine, and it's just a guy that we used to run with, drive by the front porch when everybody was out, and I was at home detoxing. And I was like, hey, I stopped in the road. I was like, let me get a cigarette, dude. And I went to the hot water heater, used the pilot light of the hot water heater to start the cigarette, puffed it once and ran out of the house. And I didn't know this existed, but they have nicotine tests. I didn't know that's a thing, but 100% you would get nicotine tested at this place, dude. I get to the Ark, and these guys are like, there's a smoking porch, right? And there's a van, and they can have a job. And I think I'm all saying all that because I think the Ark has such a cool mix of like, hey, dude, this is just a place for you to come meet your creator and jump off place, to go to your meetings, to be reintroduced to life in a different way. I love what the Ark is doing, man. I love being a part of it. Been gone for 2 weeks, and I'm excited to tap back in with those guys. It's so important that we recognize that when we're saved, it was hard for me to go back to working. And I'm not meaning to make this about me, but to go back to working with addicts because I hated myself, and then I hated guys like me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I ran for another 10 years after leaving there, relapsing. But it was this moment when I started working back with people in the 12 steps, and God said, my God, I knew that I needed to go be a part of this 12-step program that really changed my life. And I walk out moving from Texas to Colorado, and the lady, the pastor of the whole 12-step program there, she looks at me and she says, your work's not done here. And I wanted to be done so bad because it was exhausting. It's like listening to a train wreck over and over, and I'm not in a place where I'm fully surrendered. I'm surrendering, right? And this is several years. This is probably 6 years ago, 5 years ago. The last year, something transformed. Like I felt like God was like, listen, all the things that you're asking for and that you're chasing out of life, like you see, I'm with you, but you're not done. Go back. And I was like, you know what? I'll say yes. Whatever. I called Michael Cameron, the house pastor. I don't know his title, but he's the head guy at the house.
Yeah.
Right? He works there. And I was like, I need to be a part. I called you, actually. I called you first. Like, I need to get plugged in. You're like, come on, dude. Just show up. Like, it wasn't like, here, do this. You're like, dude, 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock Monday nights, dude. Just be there. And it was in the simple just showing up that, like, I started going. Then I met these guys. Hey, man, do you want to come run your mouth in front of some cameras about what life is like? I'm like, hell yeah. And that was just like you're saying, you say yes, and these doors start opening, and they're grueling for a long time. And then you walk into this garden that life is blooming for you, and you still have to weed it.
Of course.
But it's a blast.
Yeah. It's being humble and surrendering and throwing up that white flag that says, humble yourself under the mighty hand of God and you'll be exalted in due season. Right. And so when God gives you guys this platform and it grows and gets bigger and has a bigger impact, the staying low to the ground and humble and we're doing this. We have a purpose. There's a mission to doing this, and you got to keep the main thing. And we all know what that is. And so when you do that in your life, you come to realize what I found out the hard way is the cars, the women, the drugs, the houses, all the stuff that the world presents to you that you were talking about earlier. Man, if I go down this other road, I'm not going to, Yeah. Well, the difference is that as you become, when you surrender and you get restored and redeemed and your life gets resurrected, you get this stuff. I got houses and cars.
Right, dude.
I got all this stuff, but the difference is it doesn't have me.
Right.
My mission in life is, and I'm sure you guys are thinking the same way, is that when I take my last breath and you guys show up to my celebration of life, what are you going to say about me? That's what matters. I don't care how many Porsches I had or how many cars I had or how many people did I impact. How many people did I touch along the journey? And that's really the mission of what we're doing here. And that's my heart. And that's what we do at the Ark, right? Because the guys there's a structure to it. There's certain things they have to do, but there's a lot of autonomy, right? There's a fellowship. And we want the guys to come, like you say, you're making a huge impact just being there.
Yeah.
They need to see, they've got to see it, right? And so, you've been in these meetings, man. They're powerful on Monday nights. And so I can see where we are making an impact in the community. And it's messy, right? Yes, this is not. So if you're thinking, this is, it is, from my point of view, you have to focus on the people that make it. Maybe the Ark is not their last stop.
Sure.
And down the road, they're going to make it at some point, and they'll come back and visit us at the Ark, which is fantastic. But we're just one little cog in the wheel of his divine recovery program. And it's a big problem in our society. And I'm glad that you guys behind the camera, the guys in front of the camera are tackling this head on. It's so important, and it's so critical because, men, we need to lead our families. And, we've said this before, as men go, so goes the family. As men go, so goes a nation. And as men go, so we are a very, very, very important part of what goes on, not only here locally, but nationwide. And so we want to raise men up to be leaders and help change lives, man. And that's what we're all about, man. I'm just one beggar, right? You've heard it.
Yes, dude.
Telling another beggar where I found the bread.
Yeah.
And here's the bread, man, have some, because it works. And so, and to meet the guys behind the camera like I did today, and he's telling me how much sober time I have and how excited he is about this made my day, man. So it's an honor to be here, and you guys are amazing. I love what you're doing, and it's, for the rest of the story, grab the book, and it is, as I look back on it, it's crazy. It's crazy the stuff that we've all been through, right? If you took all our stories and threw it into one pot, it'd be, woo.
Yeah, no.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. And so we're going back to the book, so you can buy it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Right? It's called, it's called Rock Bottom, The Heroin Addict Next Door by Rocky Romano. An Italian dude, you said earlier, maybe you said went to an Italian place called Olive Garden. I was like, wait, hold on. Your name's Romano, brother.
No, that's, I would
was stretch.
I was like,
no, yeah, I'm so grateful you came today.
Yeah.
You're one of my favorite people. I've been waiting to have you on forever. I'm so excited that we were able to make this work. His email is in the book. Buy the book. Buy it. It's, what is it? It's a few bucks, right?
So it's I think it's $8.99, $9.99.
It's so good. If you're a parent or a sibling or a mentor of someone that is struggling with addiction, you don't know what to do, get the book. The last person has a question. One of the previous guests has a question that you're going to read today, and that is a previous question from a previous guest. And it's one of my favorites. So go ahead and read it.
What is the one thing that you wish people knew about you?
Let's hear it.
And the answer is, I think the one thing that I would want people to know about me is that I'm all sold out for the Lord and doing His work. And I hope when people see me that and the way I live and move and have my being, this is really from the heart, that they would see Christ in me, and that they knew that I love people.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell. Wherever you're coming from, that I would love God and love people. And then when you met me, you knew that I cared about you.
Well, those are the facts. I did. For the first time I met you, there was no question. So you're doing a great job of that. Thank you for coming on today. I look forward to rubbing elbows with you everywhere in life. If you're interested in hearing the story, the end of the story, get the book. If you want to hear more about the Ark, Where do we find? Can we Google that? How do we find out more about the Ark?
You go to the ARK soberliving.org, ARK soberliving.org.
If you have somebody, know somebody. Also, the Ark isn't the only place. Through the Ark, there's a web of a lot of sober living. So if there's not a place or a door, they work really, really hard to get you placed somewhere in northern Colorado, under the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
Right outside Rocky Mountain National Park. I mean, there's so much. This is my favorite place to be. And to get sober here with good people, I mean, you got to give them a call. Once again, man, it's been an honor and a pleasure to hang out with you.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll do it again.
Been a lot of fun. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate your time, and God bless everybody.
Thank you, guys. Like, share, subscribe, please. Have a good one.
Now.
Shut it.